Zechariah chapter 6, Zechariah, verse 1. And I lifted up my eyes again and looked and saw 4 chariots coming from between 2 mountains. And the mountains were mountains of bronze. Remember that this is made through a combination of metals, just like, for instance, the kingdom of the end times would be a combination, as we see in the book of Daniel 2, for instance. The feet of the statue that Nebuchadnezzar saw was a mix of iron and clay. Um, Also, bronze is connected to the Greek Empire, and the apostasy mostly came from the falsehood taken from the Greek beliefs and the Greek culture. So the Western culture, which has a lot to do with the New World Order, started in Greece. So, and I lifted up my eyes again and looked and saw 4 chariots, right? Like the 4 corners of the earth, the 4 letters of the name, Yahweh, and the 4 seals of the book of Revelation, the first 4 seals of the book, coming from between 2 mountains. And the mountains were mountains of bronze. With the first chariot were red horses, and with the second chariot, black horses. I just mentioned the first 4 seals of the book of Revelation, Revelation 6. The first 4 are represented by 4 riders of 4 horses. The first is a white horse, the second is a red horse, the third is a black horse, the fourth is a pale horse. In this case, we see a prophecy that connects directly with the seals, but in a different order, and in a different way, in fact. So remember that the 2 witnesses mentioned in Zechariah 4 would be the white horse of the first seal. So it's interesting that here the first one mentioned is the chariot with red horses. Remember that the red horse is the second seal that comes after the 2 witnesses, which is the Third World War, according to Revelation 6, the second seal, the red horse. The rider has a big sword to take away the peace from the earth. So with the first chariot, and I repeat because the white horse of the first seal would be connected to the 2 witnesses of Zechariah 4. Now the second seal would be here mentioned first. With the first chariot were red horses, and with the second chariot, black horses. Like I mentioned, that would be the third, which is hunger. And with the third chariot, white horses. So now we see the mention of the white horses, which, like I said, the white horse of Revelation 6 is the coming of the 2 witnesses. Now it's interesting that the fourth horse, the fourth seal, is a pale horse. When somebody's pale, he looks white, but a little bit of other tones, right? Depending on the person and his flesh. So with the third chariot, white horses. So like I said, the fourth is the pale one. And with the fourth chariot, strong speckled horses. So I mentioned the chronological order because well, this one appears as Laban, pretty short here. 3, you see, Lebanim, so it does say white. And the white in Revelation 6 is the first. The red is the second. The black is the third. The speckle in that case would be connected to the pale one who is sick. Because it is written by death and Sheol follows. So it represents a sick horse. That's why it's pale. Sometimes they translate it as yellow. Sometimes they translate it as green because of the different tones of the flesh when somebody's pale and sick. But in Greek, the word that appears in Revelation 6 for the fourth horse is chloros, as in chlorine or bleach. So then it says, So I responded and said to the messenger who was speaking to me, "What are these, my sovereign?" And the messenger answered and said to me, "These four spirits of the heavens, these are four spirits of the heavens." That's why four corners of the earth, coming forth from presenting themselves before the sovereign of all the earth. The one with the black horses is going out to the land of the north. So you see that the first that was mentioned was the red. Now the first mention is the black. So we can see that in this chapter, the order doesn't necessarily mean that that's how they would uh, come out, because then we would have to see the red horses being mentioned here first. The one with the black horses is going out to the land of the north. In Revelation, we see a black horse represents hunger, not only physical hunger, but hunger for the word of Yahweh, spiritual. And the white ones have gone out after them. That's interesting, because if we find a connection or see a connection between these white ones and the white horse of Revelation 6 being the two witnesses, then would be because of the hunger coming to the north spiritually. Yahweh sends the white ones to give spiritual food to go after them. Obviously, the spiritual food will be for those who are seeking for it, who actually believe in Yahweh. And the speckled ones have gone out to the land of the south. The south represents blessing. The north has a connection with wickedness or the enemy, as we have seen several times in scriptures. The speckled ones, because of the connections we were making, would be the fourth rider of the fourth seal in Revelation 6, which is death. So pretty much to take away the blessing represented by the south. And the strong ones went out, eager to go, to walk to and fro in the earth. And he said, "Go walk to and fro in the earth." So they walked to and fro in the earth. And he called to me and spoke to me. Now, also, just in case, the south in Hebrew is the right hand, and the north is the left hand. So we could also say the one with the black horses is going out to the land of the left, and the white ones have gone after them, like I mentioned, like the two witnesses bringing the doctrine to where um, the spiritual hunger is. And the speckled ones, representing death, if we connect it to the pale horse of Revelation 6, have gone out to the land of the right. So because of what's right, because of justice, those who are in wickedness need to go through this punishment. Then it says, verse 8, and he called to me and spoke to me, saying, "See, those who go toward the land of the north have given rest to my spirit in the land of the north." That's interesting, because it was the black horses going to the north, and then the white horses bringing the spiritual food. So, and he called to me and spoke to me, saying, "See, those who go toward the land of the north have given rest to my spirit in the land of the north." So they brought the spirit and put it in the land of the north. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, "Receive the gift from the exiles, from Heldai, Tobiah, and Yedaiah, who have come from Babel. Then you shall go the same day and enter the house of Yoshiyah, son of Zephaniah." Verse 10. So you see how we just changed the message? Like, so this is key right here, how it seems to point to the white horses being the two witnesses and those who are with them. Because remember that the heavenly army in Revelation 19 coming to fight in the the war called Har Megiddo, they come on white horses as well. So just like hunger, spiritual hunger, represented by the black horses, was going north, after them was going after them, we saw the white horses. And now we see that those who went north, in this case the white horses, have given rest to the Ruach of Yahweh in that place. So they brought the Ruach through the doctrine to the land of the north. Now with these names, as always, we can come and see the meaning of each of those names to understand the message better. Heldai, Tobiah, Yedayah, Yoshiyah, Zephaniah. And we could even add this right here, and this one, Yahushua and Yahutzadak. So through the names, if we just read the names and therefore the meanings of each of the names mentioned here, we have that Heldai means worldly. Comes from Chelet, which means age, duration of the world. So worldly. Tobiah, Yahweh is good. Yedayah, Yahweh has known, or he has known Yah. Yeda, also he will know Yah, Yahweh. Yoshiyah, whom Yahweh heals. Zephaniah, whom Yahweh has treasured. Yahushua, Yahweh's salvation. Yahutzadak, or Yahutzadak, Yahweh is righteous. So it's saying, then take silver and gold. Oh, well, no. Take of them of the captivity, even of Cheldai. So take them of the captivity, even of the world, right? Even those who have become worldly, to be the good of Yah, to be known by Yah, or to know Yah, out of the confusion, to be healed by Yah and be treasured by Yah through Yahushua for Yahweh's salvation, Yahweh's righteousness. For Yahweh's salvation and Yahweh's righteousness. For the few and the many. First and last, Yahweh Tzidkenu, represented by Yahusadak. The first, obviously, represented by the name Yahushua. Was that understood? I hope. So that's why Yahweh told him, take these from the exile, because they were a representation through their names. Receive the gift from the exiles, from Heldai, Tobiah, and Yedayah, who have come from Babel. Then you shall go the same day and enter the house of Yoshiyah, son of Zephaniah. And you shall take the silver and gold, listen to this, make a crown and set it on the head of Yahushua, the son of Yahutzadak, the high priest. This is a very interesting verse. Several reasons, I'm sure. But one of them, when I would, I have a Bible, study Bible, so it has several comments on the bottom of the page. And when you read these chapters, well, the whole book of Zechariah, we saw how in the previous chapter, Yahweh sent a word to Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel was a descendant of Yahudah. So he was the governor of Yahudah. He was the actual leader according to his tribe. Yahushua, this Yahushua, he's the high priest. So he's from the tribe of Levi. All right. So he is the priest. Zerubbabel was to be the leader and could be the king if there was a kingdom, but at that time was the exile, as we just saw, right? from Babel. So they were just coming back, and he didn't have the honor or power of a king yet, because the king at that moment was Cyrus from the Persian Empire after conquering Babel. So the fact that it says make a crown, that refers to kingship. So that crown was supposed to be for Zerubbabel. However, it says place it on the head of Yahushua. So in that Bible, the study Bible I mentioned, there's a comment that is not just, well, it's a comment that is not just in that Bible's the study Bible, just in case. But it says that the experts do not know why there was this change, that this crown was supposed to be for Zerubbabel, but that he disappears from the story, and therefore the prophet needed to fulfill this with Yahushua because Zerubbabel was not around. So they kind of say, we don't know why this is supposed to be Zerubbabel, but he was not in the picture. Who knows where he was? So they took Yahushua instead, right? That's kind of like how the experts put it, historically speaking. And because of how we are reading, and it's talking about Zerubbabel, and all of a sudden it says, take the crown and give it to Yahushua, right? Remember that in the book of Haggai, Yahweh promises Zerubbabel the ring. So he promises Zerubbabel to make him king, which is what is being represented here. Now, the reason why Yahweh told ZecharYah in this prophetical act to take Yahushua, the son of Yahusadak, instead of Zerubbabel, is because remember that remember when Moshe gave Hoshea, who was his servant, the name Yahushua to become his successor. So his name was Hoshea, but he became Yahushua, and was the man that represented the witness like Moshe, because he was his successor and because he was a descendant of Yahusef through Ephraim. So the last is a descendant of Yahusef through Ephraim, and it is the second manifestation of Yahweh, being the first, the one who got the name Yahushua. Now, verse 11, let me go here to show the name. There you go, Yahushua, right? Ben Yahusadak. Now, that is also important because remember that Yahushua, the first, his name would be called Emmanuel, the mighty one with us. So Yahushua the first has the title Emmanuel, the mighty one with us. Jeremiah prophesies that the second manifestation, would have the name Yahweh Sidkenu, Yahweh our righteousness. Here we have Yahutzadak, which means Yahweh is righteousness, or Yahweh justifies. Also, remember that Yahushua says to the congregation in the book of Revelation 3 that he will put the name of the Father on their foreheads, on the foreheads of those who overcome. He will give them a new name, the name of the Father, the name of the New Jerusalem, and his new name. So Yahushua would have a new name through the second manifestation of Yahweh on this earth, because first and last will become one at the end, as we see prophesied in Ezekiel 37, the second half of the chapter, and in Zechariah 14:9, which we will read eventually in this book. So first and last, after the last resurrects, will become one with the first. Basically, heaven and earth becoming one, like first and last. So the reality in earth will be through the last, the reality in heaven through the first, and they will be one, just like Mashiach said regarding the Father, we are one. So the last, once he's resurrected, will be connected or be one with Yahushua. So the name Yahushua will be his as well. That's why the name Yahushua appears a couple ways in scriptures, with one vav and two vavs to represent first and last. The vav representing sacrifice and representing a man, the Son of Man. Now, Yahushua says, I will put my new name. So that means that he will receive a new name in the second manifestation, and also the name of the New Jerusalem. In Jeremiah, we see pretty much the same verses in two different chapters, but one is referring to the last as being called the Yahweh Tzidkenu, Yahweh our righteousness, and the other part is referring to the New Jerusalem as receiving that name, Yahweh Tzidkenu. So the name of the New Jerusalem is a title for the manifestation of the last. So is seen as a new name for Mashiach. So by saying here Yahushua ben Yahutzadak is pretty much saying the Yahushua that will be Yahweh Tzidkenu, the Yahushua that brings justice, the last, who was represented by Zerubbabel in the previous chapters, but after he dies and resurrects, becomes one with Yahushua, now a son of righteousness, because it is through his death that he receives, well, obviously through Mashiach, and through him being killed, that he becomes righteous in every sense of the word, because obviously we are righteous already in Mashiach. So it says, once again, and you shall take the silver and gold. Now also, remember that this man that is being called in this chapter, Yahushua, not Yehoshua, that is the first change that they did to the name. Yahushua, the son of Yahusadak. This person appeared in the book of Nehemiah and Ezra as Yeshua. If the name of the Messiah was Yeshua, why would Yahweh change his name in this revelation, this prophecy? It should remain Yeshua. So the name of Yeshua is changed to Yahushua because that would be the name of the Messiah. Just like the name of Hoshea, the successor of Moshe, was changed to Yahushua because that would be the name of the Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach. So here, Yahweh told the prophet, get Yahushua, not Zerubbabel, because we need to do a prophetical act. And he is the son of Yahusadak, so it's perfect because the last will be Yahweh Tzidkenu, which is pretty much Yahud separated. And you shall take the silver and gold, make a crown, and set it on the head of Yahushua, the son of Yahud the high priest. So now the high priest is becoming king. Yahushua HaMashiach, who brought righteousness, is the high priest at the right hand of the Father. But now through the last, Yahweh Tzidkenu, he becomes a king. So that in Revelation 19, he appears as King of Kings and Sovereign of Sovereigns. So the high priest and the king become one. And shall speak to him, saying, and this is powerful, thus said Yahweh of hosts, saying, see the man whose name is the branch. So you see how the scripture itself is saying it. Yahweh changes his name to Yahushua because his name appeared as Yeshua in other writings. But Yahweh is saying, okay, we're going to do a prophecy right here, so call him Yahushua. Why? Because he has the name of the branch. Now, it's interesting that it says the branch, it doesn't say the root. And this is one of the many reasons why I say that this is representing the second manifestation. Because the second manifestation is the branch. The first manifestation is the root, as he himself said it to the Pharisees. Right? How can the Messiah, Yahushua, be the son of David if David himself calls him sovereign? in Psalm 110. So with that, he was telling the Pharisees that he is not the branch or son of, but the root of. So the last is the branch, because he will give fruit of his lips that confess his name. Once again, Hebrews 13:15. So see, the man whose name is the branch. So if one wants to give fruit, one needs the name of Yahushua. If one wants to become a branch, because we need to be united with Mashiach as the true olive tree, then we need the name, the man whose name is the branch, right? So there are many ways in which we can see this, but the main prophetical interpretation of this is referring to the coming of the last. After receiving Yahushua, the high priest, he will receive a crown to bring the righteousness of Yahweh and become Yahweh Sidkenu, resurrecting as Yahushua after becoming one. See, the man whose name is the branch, and from his place he shall branch out, and he shall build the Heikal of Yahweh. What do you mean he will build the Heikal of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh? Didn't you say that it was Zerubbabel who would do it? Putting the first stone till the last? And through that you would know that that Yahweh sent me, like Zechariah said. So after saying that Zerubbabel, in one chapter later, right? After saying that Zerubbabel would build a temple, would start it and finish it. And that was a promise by Yahweh. Now he's saying regarding Yahushua, son of Yahutzadak, he shall build the Heikal of Yahweh. So that shows that he wasn't talking in the literal sense about those historical people present there before Zechariah. He was talking about a person represented by Zerubbabel, the prodigal son, whom after accepting Mashiach as the savior would be clothed with Mashiach. So he would become now Yahushua, son of Yahutzadak, to receive the crown in order to be the branch that would build the temple. So Zerubbabel, he who was sown in confusion, needed to accept Yahushua the Messiah in order to be righteous so that he could build the temple as Yahweh prophesied. I hope that's clear. And obviously the temple is the congregation, the chosen. It is he who is going to build the Heikal of Yahweh, confirming it. It is he. Remember that Yahushua himself said, destroy the temple and I will raise it up in 3 days. He was talking about his own body because Mashiach came to fulfill everything in the literal sense. His body is the temple, but then spiritually his congregation is his body, therefore the temple. So Yahushua came to build the true temple through his body's resurrection, so that the chosen few would also receive salvation in order to become his temple in this world. But those chosen few would be sealed or united by the testimony of the last. So it is he who is going to build the Heikal of Yahweh. It is he who is going to bear the splendor. The splendor. Yahushua brought the favor. The last brings the splendor. And he shall sit, and remember that the splendor or part of it was given to Lucifer in the beginning of creation. And he fell because of the wickedness found in him. So that's why the last comes as Yaakov, supplanter, to take over the place that Hillel held over this world as the mighty one of the world. So now whatever splendor he had as the most beautiful angel in the heavens will be given to the last once he resurrects. So he is going to bear the splendor. That's verse 13. Hod, which also connects with the name Yahudah, the worship, the praise. Just like Hillel was supposed to take the praise from humanity to the Most High, but he then wanted to keep it for himself, and that's why he ended up falling. It is he who is going to bear the splendor, and he shall sit and rule on his throne. But he was talking about the high priest, a Levite. That means that he was all prophetical. Yahushua, who came as the high priest according to the order of Melchizedek, being a Yahudi, now coming through the tribe of Yahusef to be the branch, accepting Yahushua to receive the crown, for he comes with a crown, as we see in Revelation 6, on a white horse with a crown and a bow, conquering and to conquer. See the man whose name is the branch, and from his place he shall branch out to the nations, and he shall build the Hekal of Yahweh through each of the chosen few found in the nations. It is he who is going to build the Hekal of Yahweh. It is he who is going to bear the splendor. So with this, he is saying that the Zerubbabel prophecy had to do with someone in the end times. And he shall sit and rule on his throne, now as a king, and shall be a priest on his throne. Now, this is translated in different ways. Now, this, the way it is written, would be interpreted as being a king and a priest at the same time. So an emperor, pretty much, in the empire of Yahweh. Because we are made kings and priests through Yahushua HaMashiach. So indeed, we are kings and priests according to the order of Melchizedek. But other translations have it, and he shall sit and rule on his throne. Let me go and see, for instance. Just a second. It was verse 13. Says, and he shall sit and rule upon his throne, and he shall be a priest upon his throne. Yeah, same. Well, yeah, other translations put it like having the priest on his side, which would mean having Eliyahu on his side as a Levite, the earthly priesthood, or the high priest or the priest of the army, while Yahushua, the high priest in the heavens, at the right hand of the Father. So the Father with Mashiach as the high priest on his right. On earth, the last as king on the throne with Eliyahu on his right. So, and he shall sit and rule on his throne, and shall be a priest on his throne. And the counsel of peace shall be between them both. You see, the counsel of peace shall be between them both, the priest and the king. So, because throughout history, there were issues between the kings and the priests. Either the priests were doing bad, or the kings were doing bad, or both were doing bad. But now, by having the two witnesses, king and priest, accepting Yahushua, the high priest, there will be counsel of peace among them all. So, and he shall sit and rule on his throne on the earth, and shall be a priest on his throne. And the counsel of shalom shall be between them both, which if we take it as the last being king and priest on the earth, will be a counsel of peace between them both, first and last, high priest and now king and priest. While the crown is for a remembrance in the Hekal of Yahweh to Helem and to Tobiah and to Yedaiah and to Hen, son of Zephaniah. So we have some of the same names, but a couple that are different. Helem, Tobiah, Yedaiah, we already know those two. Hen, Zephaniah as well, whom Yahweh has treasured. So, Helem means dream or strength. Halam is to dream. And the crown shall be to Helem as strength. Remember that the crown, actually the word comes from keren, crown, keren, which is horn in Hebrew. The crown has pointed parts because they represent horns, because they represent the power of the king. So strength, as seen represented by the crown on the king, and I say that because what he was saying here, and the crowns shall be to Helem. So they will be as strength or as a dream. So it will be saying they are a representation, a vision of something that will come about in the future, just like when you have a spiritual dream or a dream from the Father about something that will happen. Now, I repeat, the crowns represent strength, but the crowns in that prophecy are being used as a sign of something that would come later. Then, Yahweh is good. Yahweh has known and given favor to those whom Yahweh has treasured, right? And you see how the name Chen is Het Nun, which we already saw in the previous chapter, remember? Het Nun, favor, but if we turn it around and put the Nun first, which is written a little bit differently, Nun, Het, we have Noach, he who comes like in the days of Noach, for many reasons that we have seen already. So while the crown is for a remembrance in the temple of Yahweh, to dream as a vision, as a dream, or for strength to from Yahweh who is good, or he who is the good of Yahweh. Remember that the name Tobiah is connected to the last. Yahushua was called good, Tob, but he rejected that title, referring to Yahweh as the he who is good, and also as the last, because Yahushua is the life, the last is the good, like the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of the good. So a remembrance in the temple of Yahweh as a vision to give strength to the good of Yah, to he whom Yahweh knows, and to whom he has given favor, for he is treasured by Yahweh. Or like I already mentioned, well, the way I had said it previously, as a dream or a vision, for Yahweh is good with those whom he has known and given favor, for they are treasured by Yahweh. All right. And those who are far away, as in the exile throughout all the world, shall come and build the Heikal of Yahweh, right? For they will be part of the temple. And you shall know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me to you. And this shall be if you diligently obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. Remember that Yahushua is the word, yet here we have the voice because it is referring to he who will build the temple. And that's how it ends.